Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Nikita Antoine, and today we'll be delivering a message to the sign of Aries. As always, Aries, all of the readings, they are timeless. So when the message finds you and resonates, then it is yours at the time in which you find it. Aries, we're doing actually something a little bit different today. Typically this would have been the Piscean reading since we just started Libra season. And I've come to the conclusion that with all of the messaging that's happening in the readings as of late, there's been a lot of like turning around or going in a new direction. And I've realized that as we move through each season, I'm essentially going through the signs backwards. I don't know why I was doing that, but I'm going to change directions just to see what happens as an experiment. So for this Libra season, we will be starting with Aries, with you, Aries, as the lead, as the trailblazer for the collective. So, and ironically, of course, today is the full moon in Aries, so it's very fitting. All right, so Aries, I have used my classic deck. It's the Ethereal Visions, the Dreamscape Oracle, and the Luna Tarot, all of them in one stack, and all by the creator Matt Hughes. So you'll be seeing them in your spread today. I'm sure you can probably hear my little kitty cat, Lucy, that is playing in the background, so ignore her or tune into her, whichever you like. All right, so at the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Pentacles. All right, so this is actually coming through as you reading a story. All right, so this is coming through as you reading a story. Some story that is, well, it's very strange actually. It's kind of like this story is like about you. It's as if you have picked up a book off of the shelf and you're reading it, and suddenly you're figuring out that it's like things are kind of aligning a little too close to your real life, and it's feeling as though this story is about you. It's very interesting. I'm actually thinking of a movie. I think it's called Stranger Than Fiction. I feel like it has Will Ferrell in it. It's very interesting, but it's actually about a woman who's writing a story and she ends up narrating someone's life. So this is interesting because you're reading the story and it's as if this energy up top here is narrating your life. So as you can see, there is kind of like there's a channel in between you two, you and this other one here. So they're receiving insight about your life, where you're headed. But the curious thing is that they're receiving it in the same time that it's happening for you. So it's a very simultaneous connection that is being experienced by you. And now these others that are in the room with you, I'm seeing them actually as other aspects of yourself. So we'll dive into that a little bit later. So with this being the underlying energy of your reading, it's as if you are witnessing, reading something, or watching something that is kind of narrating your life. It's very interesting. So for the bridge to see where it's heading, oh, this is gorgeous. We have the white owl. And the white owl typically speaks of learning something, usually in the realm of discernment. You know, the white owl can sometimes lead you along different paths that strengthen your ability for discernment. And so there's something in this story here that is going to be illuminated to you, either about this ability that you have, or it's more coming through like, because you're reading the story, you're actually being given the opportunity to see your life from a higher vantage point. And because of that, that can give you discernment of all of the characters that are involved, all of the characters that are involved, kind of like what their character development is, their purpose perhaps in your life, what they're bringing to the table, things like that. All right. So let's get the overall energy for Aries. Huh. It's interesting. We have balance. Okay, I see it now. All right. So we have balance here, and immediately I'm focusing on their hands and how their hands are in this particular shape. Well, it's the shape of the yin yang. However, it's talking less about the concept of yin yang and more about how this experience for you is going to help put the pieces together. It's going to help put all of the pieces together. So you're going to see your role as the main character in your own story, and then you're also going to be able to see all of these supporting elements that make the story possible. And because you're receiving it in like a physical book or in a movie or something like that, it's reflecting back to you what's going on in your own life, and maybe actually perhaps how to navigate or even make different decisions that the main character in the story is making. So there's that. All right. So I'm trying to decide exactly how to go about this because there's multiple different starting points that can be like pursued. So let's see. Um, we'll start here at the end. Let's actually both of them want to come out. Okay. So at the very end of your reading, starting at the end, it's interesting because it's reminding me of a poem by T.S. Eliot that talks about when you find yourself at the end. Well, in the end, you find yourself at the beginning again. So that's kind of the message that's coming out through here. So you are in a place with this Six of Cups that is incredibly familiar. It's referring to your life as you know it. And what I'm seeing here is actually that all of these characters, at least here, are all of these different aspects of you. There are all of these different aspects of you, all of these different aspects of you that are reading this story. And in the past, through your development, like perhaps maybe when you were a child, it's like this book is kind of going through your entire development, kind of like from childhood to where you are currently. And so what I'm seeing here is these three colors, these three: red, blue, and yellow. And of course, as if you have watched the Libra seasonal reading, you'll see that the red and the blue have been making themselves known as different timelines. And I believe it was in the Aries reading that was talking about primary colors. And so that idea is coming up again as well. Or actually, it was in the Taurus reading. So that idea is coming up again as well as the primary colors. So in your past, perhaps in your childhood, you had these two colors here, the colors of red, or no, not red, of blue and of yellow. And what it's referring to is that there was a missing color, a missing element that would have made the entire picture become manifest in a sense. So, and I'm seeing that because, in order to make all of the other colors, you need the primary colors to be able to mix all of them. Of course, like yellow and blue make green, and then if you were to add the blue and the red together, you have purple, and then the red and the yellow make orange. So what it's talking about is that your picture, the picture of your life as you know it currently, is missing a primary color that would help to saturate the imagery of your life in a full living color. If that makes sense. It's as if whatever you are reading is adding in this red element. And because there's this addition to the red element, all of these other primary colors that you've had since you were a child are now also coming to the surface as well. It's like this aspect was dormant. And it required this red to come in before all of them can be accessed and utilized to shape wherever you're going next. What's really fascinating is that both of these numbers here, they're both sixes. So 6, 6, 2 sixes. And what that talks about actually is balance. It's very interesting because this card here, the overall energy, is of balance. And so you can see here that these two pieces here did bring in a sense of balance. However, there's a third energy that's coming in here, and it seems like it's coming in through the narration of this story. And you might perceive it initially as an imbalance, because when it comes in, it's going to kind of knock all of the other pieces that you have off the table. It's coming through as like his face. You see, like he's just read this story, and then when he looks up, there's a shock. There's some type of shock that is happening that would be characterized as a slight imbalance that's coming through. And so your initial reaction is actually to perhaps maybe leave all of these other things behind, your memories, leave all your other memories behind and move into this new direction. Well, what's wanting to happen for you actually is, or at least the guidance here that I'm seeing, is that although you might be singularly discovering this on your own, like you see how this channel is just coming to this one aspect of yourself, these two here, although they're reading the same story, they may not have the same understanding as you. They are incredibly pivotal to the collaboration of this new direction that you're heading in. So what I'm seeing here is that, you know, you're it's almost as if you're forgetting something. It's as if you're forgetting something, and well, in an escape of whatever situation you're going through, you're forgetting some quality aspects that need to come forward with you, because when they come forward with you, they will help to paint the entire picture. So what I'm seeing here is that you're trying to leave behind this past, and I'm actually really focused up on this house up here. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a character that is standing in the doorway. There is a character that's standing in the doorway. So you're wanting to leave behind like a character that is presented in your past. Because this is all really pertaining to you, I actually want to say that this character is embodying some sort of aspect of yourself, because they're actually in the shadow. So this character seems like it might be embodying your shadow aspects, and you're wanting to move away from it because you're sensing like a storm or something that is coming from this shadow aspect. And that's why it's actually really important for you to kind of go back and pick all of these other things up, because the shadow typically, well, it holds in elements of you that needed to be protected, like your younger versions, like your inner child in a sense. And so with you moving forward, trying to, I want to say, escape your shadow, you're bumping directly into this justice energy. And she is acting as, she's acting as a sign for you to stop and turn around. Stop and turn around. It's very interesting because today I would be doing the Pisces reading, which is in the other direction. And now there's kind of like a guidance here of stop, turn around, go pick up these other elements, these other two elements, And then it's coming through as like the justice energy is one that would determine whether or not you are like in a purified state, something like that, something coming along the lines of like you being in a purified state. It's giving me the imagery of when you come to Ma'at and she weighs your heart against a feather. And what it's referring to is your heart as light as a feather? Is it in a purified state? And it's coming through as that she's kind of telling you that before you go through this process, she's reflecting back to you that you only have this one element of red. You only have this red element. And maybe, you know, a little bit of that yellow, but the distinction here is that it's like you need to go back and pick up all of these other things. Pick up the memories of your childhood, something like that. There's something about the memories that you had when you were a child that are going to be pivotal in the next phase that you go through. And so before you pass through this, it's kind of like if you've ever seen Never Ending Story where they have the gates there, right? And then it's like if your heart is pure, then you are able to pass through to the oracle. Is that what it is? The oracle? And so if this element that is beyond this gate, that justice, is in a sense guarding, oh, this is fascinating. I've actually just noticed that she does have this owl here. It's like her message here is that read this story, whatever this story is, me or whatever, perhaps maybe it's actually a story that you read when you were a child and maybe you didn't finish it, or maybe you kind of just left it, or there's something in the memory of reading it that is going to open up like a sense of, it's like these years of your childhood have been lost, and so you need to go and find them. And that's what the justice energy is saying. She's saying that in order to be in a fuller embodiment of yourself and of this ability to be able to discern your entire story as it stands at this moment. It's like you need to be able to read the story and get a scope of the entire picture. It's like you need it's almost as if you need this owl. Like once you finish this process of reading this story, you'll gain the owl. Like you'll gain that as like a badge or as a token or even perhaps maybe even as a familiar, and then that would allow you to pass through to, well, it's showing up as the star. And I'm trying to remember if, you know, in that never ending story, maybe you need to watch that movie. If beyond those gates, I think that either they were the oracle or there's something beyond these. I can't quite remember. So maybe even I need to watch and read that story. But this is what lies beyond that space. And it's coming through as like a it's coming through as a domed, like a domed structure. And in order to even be able to access the interior of that space, you have to go through this justice. It's as if there, if you can see in the background, there's kind of like a little wormhole or something like that. So whenever you're allowed to pass through, you would be going through a wormhole that would take you into this star. Oh, that's fascinating, because I'm thinking of like a black hole. And, at the very center of a black hole, isn't it a star? It's a star. It's a collapsed star. Oh, this is fascinating. This is very fascinating. So it's a star. Now I'm going to another story, or actually it's a movie, Interstellar. And, he actually goes through into that black hole, and what he finds is that there is a matrix, I guess, if you will. They call it a tesseract, that, well, it actually holds the beginnings of that story itself. It's like when you go forward, there's something that's gonna like whip you back around to the beginning, and oh, this is gorgeous. And you're going to come to some type of realization that you're actually the character that's inside this house, that it's like you're trying to escape it, but you're actually that character that's inside the house. It's like even in that Interstellar movie, when he finally made it through that black hole and was able to interact with the Tesseract and the beings within that, like his daughter, she thought that she had a ghost. She thought she had a ghost, and there was a ghost that was trying to communicate with her. And in the end, you find out that he was actually her ghost and was communicating to her how to direct him along this pathway forward. It's like the future informing the past so that they can get to the present where the future is residing. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so Aries, if this resonated for you, I will be pulling some more cards, and I will see you there, hopefully. Bye.